On the afternoon of May 26, 1828, a limping teenager staggered into Unschlittplatz Square in the German city of Nuremberg. He was about 16 years old. He could barely walk. He carried 2 letters in his hand, and he could only repeat one sentence: "I want to be a cavalryman, as my father was." For the next 5 years, this stranger became the most famous mystery in Europe. And when he was stabbed to death in a snowy garden in 1833, he took his secret with him. Until 2024, when modern DNA science finally gave us an answer. For almost 200 years, Kaspar Hauser has been the most famous foundling in European history. Werner Herzog made a film about him. Paul Verlaine wrote a poem about him. His Latin tombstone in Ansbach reads, "Here lies Kaspar Hauser, riddle of his time, his birth unknown, his death mysterious." He claimed he had been raised in total darkness, fed only bread and water, never seeing another human face until the day he was dumped into Nuremberg. He could not walk properly. He could not tolerate light or loud sounds. He was so unusual that scholars across Europe became convinced he had to be someone important, someone hidden, someone kidnapped. And within a year of his appearance, a theory emerged that would dominate the case for the next 2 centuries. There was one theory, and only one theory, that explained everything. In 1812, in the Grand Duchy of Baden, a royal prince had been born. His mother was Stephanie de Beauharnais, the adopted daughter of Napoleon Bonaparte. His father was Karl, Grand Duke of Baden. According to official records, the infant died 18 days later, on October 16, 1812, before he could even be christened. But there was a problem. The Grand Duke had no other sons. When he died in 1818, the throne passed to the children of his stepmother, Countess Louise of Hochberg. Almost immediately, rumors began. The Countess, people whispered, had smuggled a dying infant into the royal cradle to kill off the legitimate heir and secure the throne for her own son. The real prince, the rumors said, had been kidnapped and hidden. Then, in 1828, a strange boy appeared in Nuremberg who would have been about the same age. A boy who claimed to have been raised in total isolation, a boy with no past. The mathematics were perfect. And in 1832, Anselm von Feuerbach, president of the Bavarian Court of Appeal, published a best-selling book arguing exactly that. Kaspar Hauser was the lost Prince of Baden. For nearly 2 centuries, that theory survived everything history could throw at it. It survived Hauser's strange and suspicious death in 1833, when he stumbled home from the Ansbach court garden with a deep stab wound in his chest. It survived the discovery of a violet purse at the scene, containing a note written in mirror writing, signed with the initials MLO. It even survived 2 separate DNA tests in the 1990s and early 2000s, tests that contradicted each other. In 1996, a Munich and Birmingham team analyzed a blood stain from Hauser's preserved underwear and found no match with the Baden line. But in 2002, a team in Munster analyzed locks of his hair and announced the results were inconclusive, possibly even supportive of the Prince theory. 2 contradictory results from the same man, and neither one strong enough to end the debate. And this is where the story becomes genuinely extraordinary. On July 20th, 2024, an international team of 17 researchers published their findings in the journal iScience. The lead author was Walter Parson of the Medical University of Innsbruck. And among his senior collaborators was a name the world already knew, Professor Turi King. She was the same geneticist who, just over a decade earlier, had identified the skeleton of King Richard III beneath a Leicester parking lot. One case proved a king. The next case would prove someone was not a prince. Parson and King had something the earlier teams did not, a revolutionary technique called primer extension capture massively parallel sequencing, originally invented to read the degraded DNA of Neanderthals. The technique could handle fragments of DNA only 96 base pairs long, far shorter than anything the 1990s methods could process. They applied it to 3 completely separate artifacts: the blood-stained underwear held in the Mark Grafen Museum in Ansbach, locks of hair cut from Kaspar Hauser's head after his death, and a single strand of hair collected while he was still alive. 3 artifacts, 3 laboratories, and for the first time ever, a consistent result. And what I think makes this moment so extraordinary is the elegance of the verdict. All 3 samples returned the same mitochondrial DNA, haplogroup W, a lineage that definitively did not match the living matrilineal descendant of Stephanie de Beauharnais, who carried the completely different haplogroup H1Bs. The statistical confidence was 99.99994%. Kaspar Hauser was not the Prince of Baden. He never had been. Feuerbach's book, The Rumors of the Evil Countess, The 2 Centuries of Aristocratic Conspiracy, all of it, in one stroke, gone. But the DNA that finally ended the Baden Prince theory also did something the researchers did not expect. It did not tell them who Kaspar Hauser actually was. Haplogroup W is a broadly West Eurasian lineage, and it could place his mother anywhere from Ireland to the Ural Mountains. Turi King said in her University of Leicester press statement that sadly the data still cannot tell us who he was, and that he remains an enigma in terms of his origins. Walter Parson went further and said that we now know that Kaspar Hauser was not the Prince of Baden, but we still do not know who he really was. Parson also stressed one more thing. Ruling out the prince theory does not prove Hauser was a fraud. He might still have been an abandoned noble. He might still have been a crime victim. He might still have been murdered on December 14th, 1833, by someone with very real reasons to want him dead. The Latin on his tombstone may have been more accurate than its writer ever imagined. His birth unknown. His death mysterious. 200 years of science have told us who Kaspar Hauser was not. We are still waiting to find out who he was. If you enjoyed this historical mystery, make sure to check out our video on how DNA solved the case of Richard III under a Leicester parking lot, the story that launched Professor Turi King's remarkable career. Subscribe for more stories where modern science rewrites what we thought we knew about the past. See you in the next video.